Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm talking about Anne Frank. Today, the search engine Google Doodle is honoring Anne Frank. Do you know about Anne Frank? Let's talk about Anne Frank's short life story. Who was Anne Frank? Anne Frank was a German-Dutch diarist of Jewish heritage. One of the most discussed Jewish victims of the Holocaust, she gained fame posthumously with the 1947 publication of the Diary of a Young Girl. That's why the Google Doodle is honoring Anne Frank on different states. Anne Frank, which she documents her life in hiding from 1942 to 1944 during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War. It is one of the world's best known books and has been the basis for several plays and films. Anne was born on 12th of June 1929 in Germany. When she was 4 and a half, her family moved to Amsterdam, Netherlands after Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party gained control over Germany. She spent most of her life in or around Amsterdam. By May 1940, the Franks were trapped in Amsterdam by the German occupation of the Netherlands. Anne lost her German citizenship in 1941 and became stateless. Her father's name is Otto Frank and mother Edith Frank, and her sister name is Margot Frank and cousin name is Bodie Elias. Her language is Dutch and occupation is diarist. Following their arrest, the Franks were transported to concentration camps on 1st November 1944. Annie and her sister Margaret were transferred from Auschwitz to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp where they died a few months later. They were originally estimated by the Red Cross to have died in March, with Dutch authorities setting 31st March as the official date. Later research has suggested they died in February or early March. Otto, the only survivor of the Frank family, returned to Amsterdam after the war to find that Anne's diary had been saved by his secretary, Maingau. He decided to fulfill Anne's greatest wish to become a writer and publish her diary in 1947. It was translated from its original Dutch version and first published in English in 1952 as the Diary of a Young Girl, and has since been translated into over 70 languages. Frank was born Annelies of Mary Frank on 12th of June 1929 at the Maingau Red Cross Clinic in Frankfurt, Germany, to Edith and Otto Heinrich Frank. She had an older sister, Margaret. The Franks were liberal Jews and did not observe all the customs and traditions of Judaism. They lived in assimilated community of Jewish and non-Jewish citizens of various regions. So, at the time of Annie's birth, the family lived in a house at Markweg 307 in Frankfurt, Dornbach, where they rented 2 floors. In 1931, the family moved to Gangstrasse 24 in a fashionable liberal area of Dornbach called the Dietz-Ravels. Both houses still exist. In 1933, after Adolf Hitler's Nazi Party won the federal election and Hitler was appointed Chancellor of the Reich, Edith Frank and the children went to stay with Edith's mother Rosa in Aachen. Otto Frank remained in Frankfurt, but after receiving an offer to start a company in Amsterdam, he moved there to organize the business and to arrange accommodation to his family. He began working at the Opeka Works, a company that sold the fruit extract. Annie and Margaret Frank were enrolled in school, Margaret in public school and Annie in 6th Montessori school. Despite initial problems with the Dutch language, Margaret became a star pupil in Amsterdam. Annie soon felt at home at the Montessori school and met children of her own age, like Henry Goslar, who would later become one of her best friends. In 1938, Otto Frank started a second company, Packerton, which was a wholesaler of herbs, pickling, salts, and mixed spices used in production of sausage. In May 1940, Germany invaded the Netherlands and the occupation government began to persecute Jews by the implementation of restrictive and discrimination laws. For her 13th birthday on 12th of June 1942, Frank received an autograph book bound with red and white checkered cloth and with a small laugh on the front. Frank decided she would use it as a diary and had named it Kitty. She began writing in it almost immediately. In her entry dated 20 June 1942, she lists many of the restrictions placed upon the lives of the Dutch Jewish population. In the summer of 1942, the systematic deportation of Jews from the Netherlands started. Otto and Edith Frank planned to go into hiding with the children on 16 July 1942. But when Margaret received a call-up notice from the General for Justice Auswanderung Central Office for Jews on 5th July, ordering her to report for relocation to a work camp. On the morning of Monday, 6 July 1942, the Frank family moved into their hiding place, a three-story space entered from a landing over the Opekita office of the Prince Trust, where some of Otto Frank's most trusted employees would be their helpers. This hiding place became known as the Archdiocese Secretary Annex in English edition of the diary. Their apartment was left in a state of disarray to create the impression that they had left suddenly, and Otto left a note that hinted they were going to Switzerland. On 13th of July 1942, the Franks were joined by the Van Pels, made of Hermann August and 16-year-old Peter, and in November by Fritz Peters. In her writing, Frank examined her relationships with the member of her family and the strong differences in each of their personalities. She was closest emotionally to her father, who later said, "I got on better with Annie than with Margaret, who was more attached to her mother. The reason for that may have been that Margaret rarely showed her feelings and did not need as much support because she did not suffer from mood swings as much as Annie did." The Frank sisters formed a closer relationship than had existed before they went into hiding, although Annie sometimes expressed jealousy towards Margaret. Frank frequently wrote of her difficult relationship with her mother and of her ambivalence towards her. On 7th of November 1942, she described her contempt for her mother and her inability to confront with her carelessness. "And Annie, it is really you who mentioned hate, or Annie, who could you?" She came to understand that their differences resulted from misunderstandings that were as much her fault as her mother's, and so that she had added unnecessarily to her mother's suffering. With this realization, Frank began to treat her mother with a degree of tolerance and respect. Frank's sister each hoped to return to school as soon as they were able, and she regularly wrote and edited her diary entries. She finally realized that she must do her school homework to keep from being ignorant to get on life. Frank aspired to become a journalist, writing in her diary on Wednesday, 5th of April 1944. So she wrote of more abstract subjects such as her belief in God and how she defined human nature. She continued writing regularly until her last entry of 1st August 1944. On the morning of 4th August 1944, the archdiocese was stormed by a group of German informed police led by SS of the separatist. The Frank Van Pelses and Prefer were taken RSHA headquarters, where they were interrogated and held overnight. On 5th August, they were transferred to his West Van Bevering, an overcrowded prison, to the Vetters camps. 2 days later, they were transported to the Westerbork transit camp, through which more than 1 lakh Jews, mostly Dutch and German, had passed. And having been arrested in hiding, they were considered criminals and sent to the punishment barracks for hard labor. Lastly, in early 1945, a typhus epidemic spread through the camp, killing 70,000 prisoners. Other diseases, including typhoid fever, were rampant. Due to this Chayotis condition, it was not possible to determine the specific cause of Annie's death. So today, this Google Doodle is honoring Annie Frank. Hope you like this video. Then do like, comment, share and subscribe. Press the bell icon for more latest videos. Thanks for watching.